When a client asks about usage rights, do you feel hesitation before you respond? You know you shouldn't say yes right away, and you're experienced enough to know what matters, but you don't have a system to make a quick decision. You, like most mid career creatives, might assume that if you understood copyright better, you wouldn't feel this way. That's actually not what's going on. You don't likely have a knowledge gap, you have a systems gap. When you don't have a system, every request feels like reinventing the wheel. And this leads to hesitation because there's nothing to anchor your decision to. So when a client emails on Friday at 4:30 p.m. asking for full rights, you feel pressure to respond. You end up replying something like, "That should be fine," because it keeps things moving forward. But over time, those small decisions add up. You agree to terms that feel fine in the moment because it feels safer than pushing back. On paper, everything looks fine, but behind the scenes, you start losing money without even realizing it. So rather than reacting, you need to have a system to make intentional decisions. This client example might feel familiar. I had a client who did some headshots for a professor. The professor asked for full rights and told my client that she was planning on using the photos on her website and social media accounts. My client agreed, even though she knew the professor didn't need full rights. A few months later, the headshots ended up being used on a book jacket and promotional campaign. My client felt taken advantage of because there was an alignment between the original discussed usage and the actual usage. The scenario plays out over and over again. You both might think that they are only using it for X, but over time, their usage expands into something else. Ultimately, you priced your work based on what you delivered, but the value to your client expands over time. This mismatch leaves you feeling taken advantage of or like you undervalued your work. Here's the big takeaway that I want you to get from this video. You're not pricing wrong, you're structuring wrong. It's not that you undercharged. It's that you gave away the ability to be paid as the value of the work increased. You aren't selling the work itself. You're selling how the work can be used. When you bundle pricing and usage together, it becomes hard to make a decision because your effort shouldn't be the sole basis of the price, because the value to the client often increases over time. So you need to account for their usage in the equation. And once you separate them, it's easier to approach these conversations strategically because then usage just becomes a series of questions you can walk through. Rights aren't arbitrary legal rules. They're tools that allow you to get paid for your work, protect your ability to use it, and control how it's used in the world. And once you see rights as a series of decisions, the pressure starts to drop. Because now it's not, what's the right answer? It's what makes sense for this project. How long do they need it? Where will it be used? Is it exclusive? These are all simple questions you can ask the client. Once you have the answers, you can pick what makes the most sense here without defaulting or over-delivering. This gives you a repeatable system you can use, not react out of pressure. All this system requires is getting curious before you name your price. It's just a systems tweak, not overhauling your whole business, workflow, contracts, or onboarding process. Which is why in the next few videos, we're going to break this system down piece by piece. You'll learn what to ask, how to respond, and what to pinpoint in contracts your clients give you. And if you're realizing you want help building that system, that's exactly the kind of thing we do inside the Artist Courtyard. Not by giving more information, but by giving you a way to apply this without overthinking every decision. Before we go, I want you to answer this one question. When a client asks about usage, do you usually feel more pressure to answer quickly or get it right? Drop your answers in the comments because that's what we'll start untangling in the next video, where we break down in detail what you're actually selling when you give your client usage rights. Because once that clicks, the decision you're making in contracts and conversations starts to feel a lot more straightforward and a lot less like something you're just hoping you get right.